This is one of my favourite quotes of sailing. I love a sailing quote. Sailboat racing becomes a game of chance only when you are not prepared, which I think is quite fitting for going to different places in different locations. The reason behind all these talks that we're trying to do, Alana and I were looking up who is going to what regattas this year, and this is the most amount of RQ members ever going to an overseas regatta in 1 year, which is really, really cool. Monty? But no, it's like, yeah, the biggest amount of people ever, and so we were trying to work out how we can best support you guys going away. So that's kind of the reason behind these talks, and we're trying to learn from people that have done it before. We're going to bring in some of the older athletes, and we're just trying to make the people in the room better so they can learn faster. That's the aim of the game. My first interstate regatta, I was 16, and my first overseas regatta, I was 18. How old are you, Monty? 15. So I reckon if I can pass on a little bit of wisdom, by the time you get to 18, you'll be good to go. That's the plan. So we're going to keep this aimed at two of the, like I know there's people going to different things, but we're going to try and keep it aimed towards those going to Aarhus and Kiel. But we'll make it really broad about when you're going to a different regatta, what are some things that you could look at and consider, because everywhere's got some kind of funky different things that happen. So first, when we're looking up where we have to go, best place to start is the notice of race. If it's a regatta you've gone to before, sometimes the information is old based off previous years. I was saying to a few people the other week, 1 year South Melbourne for the Ilkers was at Williamstown, not Brighton. And if you know about Melbourne, Williamstown is on the opposite side of the bay. So a lot of the Australian sailing team girls stayed in the wrong spot. They booked accommodation on the wrong side of the city, and they had to commute via Rib or a 40-minute drive to get to the venue. So always check the notice of race and the regatta website to work out actually where you're staying. Even in Kiel, you're not even sailing in Kiel. Like, it's a little town further north, so it can be easy to end up in the wrong spot or kind of think about a place in a different way. And then we can kind of get a gist of where we're going. We put it into Google, you kind of see some fun stuff. This is Lake Garda in Italy, which is quite a sailing hotspot. And this is the topographic map of how mountainous it is in the area. So it's got some fun different features there. Some places are in the ocean, some places are in the river, some places are near a river. They've all got fun different spots. Once we've worked out where we're going, then we can look up what the conditions are that are going to be like. The climate, it's very easy to not be prepared for a different place because we're so used to the weather here. And then the wind, the tide can be quite different, and then obviously the sea state if we're in ocean and whatnot. European summer, it's terrible, awful. These are the two places. So this is Aarhus on the left in Denmark in August, and then Kiel in July. Actually colder than what it is right now. So prepare yourselves. I was in Palma last month and we had snow on the mountains behind. It was quite tragic. It's not very warm. This was, I had said to my mum, I was doing this presentation, she came to Kiel with me when I went, and these were the only photos that she could find. And this was her memory of Kiel, again, in summer. Noting the caption on this photo was the most amount of clothes she's ever worn sailing. And then this was a lovely summer storm that Mum could recall. Yeah, it's cold, man. Prepare yourselves. And then you'll even go to some places that are like quite dry heat relative to here. It's just kind of funny different things. Like I went to Houston once and sat out of Houston, and the weather report said that the air quality is down because there was an African dust storm that was blowing over. And so there was all this like dust in the sky. It's just weird weather. In terms of tide, so tide can do lots of different things in different places. So this is the tide in Sydney on a random day, just noting the highs and lows. And then this is a place in Belgium and just how big the tide is there relative. So that's obviously quite different sailing relative to Sydney. Does anyone know what kind of, like there's different names for tides? Have you ever learnt about that? Diurnal tide and semi-diurnal. Does anyone know?
12-hour time.
Kind of, yeah. What kind of tide do we have here? How many highs do we have? How many lows do we have? Yeah.
2 highs, 2 lows,
Yeah.
so 6-hour cycle.
Yeah. So we call that a semi-diurnal tide. Other places can have different things. So this is in Houston. So they only have 1 high and 1 low in a 24-hour time, which is pretty different to what we're used to. And then this is in Long Beach, and they have 2 highs and 2 lows, but of different amounts. So it's just all kind of things that could be different based off where you're going. Like we're so used to having that double cycle, but it's definitely worth looking to seeing if that kind of means anything. All right, gathering information. I should say too, if anyone has any questions, ask them during. Go for it. You're allowed to ask questions, Seb. I'm going to allow it. Yeah, when you're looking up information, we don't have... Actually, what do you use here for weather?
Pretty good.
Oh, I use Seabreeze normally. Is that what you were going to say? No? No. I like Seabreeze because the arrows are pretty. But Seabreeze isn't in Europe. It's quite upsetting. So there's a few different ones that you kind of Google to look up. Predict Wind and Windy are international. They're always good ones. In terms of like trying to work out what the conditions are, a good place to start are the regatta reports that get printed. So if you look up Kiel, July, sailing regatta, you'll get lots of different articles about what the sailing was like at that place, and is there any consistency that you can... Sorry. I'm kidding. But yeah, the regatta reports are a good start because it kind of gives you a gist of what the racing was actually like. Are the results consistent? Are they inconsistent? Who was racing? What was the quality of the fleet? That can kind of give you a bit of an idea. What class were they?
Like, watching older events.
Yeah.
7 Worlds in 2018.
Yeah.
Us, at least.
Yeah. There's a good, in some of the, like for Aarhus especially, I was looking at it earlier today. If you type in Worlds Aarhus 2018 forecast, it gives you what the daily forecast was for each day. And then you can compare to what the racing was like to get a bit of a gist of it even more. It's also going to tell you where the racing was. So for the 2 venues that people are mostly going to, there can be multiple different course areas, which could influence the information that you're gathering. So that's something worth considering. It's never like this here. Has anyone ever heard that? Yeah? There's lies that filter around. No, but you can get funny weather in funny places. So when you're talking to people, remember to take that with kind of a grain of salt. The IQ foilers went to Aarhus last year, and Mitch Pearson, who I work with, sent an email to Michael Blackburn asking for information about Aarhus. And Michael Blackburn typed back and goes, "Don't bother, don't go." But Pearson was like, "Oh, okay. What do I do with this?" So take it with a grain of salt, just because Blackers was a bit like, "Oh, this place sucks. Like, never go back there." But he eventually sent through all the information. Search the results for people that you know and send them a message and ask, "Hey, what was it like there?"
No, it's Mitch.
Yeah, he didn't go.
Did you not?
No.
Mitch Kennedy.
Oh, Mitch Kennedy. Yeah, ask him. Mara went. Lots of people have gone to Kiel. Definitely ask. Wind data. So when we jump onto Google and we type in Kiel, June, wind rows or wind averages, you get little things like this that can come up. But sometimes with the data, it can get a little bit skewed. So when you're typing up different locations, where the weather station is based is going to potentially skew the data. Sometimes they're not very close. You're lucky for Kiel and Aarhus that they're quite well-established places, but you might go somewhere in the world that doesn't have good data. Trying to work out, like if you type into Google or you end up on, I can't remember what it's called. I think it's called wind climate or something like that, will often have data like this, and try and work out where that weather station is and how far away it is from where you are. It might be inland, it might be 20 k's away at the airport. They're often at airports. That can kind of change the info. And then is it over a 24-hour period? Wind is different at night, but the historic data is often based off a 24-hour period. Where's this for? Can anyone guess? January. Light southeasterly winds in January.
Overseas.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the historic data reckons we get light southeasterly breezes in January. Is that accurate?
In the morning,
Yeah. So it's kind of across the whole day. So it's still like going through the exercise is important, but the data that you find online might not be that relevant to what's actually happening. So if you tie it in with the regatta reports and what you hear people say, that can be a bit of an easy way to work it out. And taking in where you're racing on the notice of race too. This is a lovely collection of letters, is a town in Poland, Dziwnów, that we went to in, I think, 2023. And this is where the Ilka 4 Worlds will be in 2028. So if anyone's still sailing then. But when we went a few years ago, oh, it won't work. The only weather station that was available was down here, and we were racing out here. So the data that it was giving was we just had to disregard it. It could give us direction to an extent, but it couldn't really help us out that much. But when I typed it into Google today, there's a few more spots now, which is good. But all of them are to do with the inland waterways. They're not to do with offshore. And this is like a big ocean, so it's not like there's channel markers like we have here. That's Aarhus. A few more different spots there. That's kind of handy. Kiel has heaps as well, which is good. But yeah, they're all a bit different. So the data is valid, but you have to decide how confident you feel with the information. You can read that sometimes on forecasts. They'll say like high confidence that this will happen, or low confidence that this will happen. Have you ever read a forecast where all the models look different? That would be a low confidence day. But if they're all the same, then you could probably go, okay, I'm feeling pretty confident that this is going to happen. Okay. Has anyone done the Coriolis effect at school? No. There you go, good. I haven't, I'm just wondering. So you can correct me if I'm wrong. But things happen different in the different hemispheres. And the big thing to think about is in Australia, when we have a sea breeze, so we have an onshore breeze that forms because the hot air rises and then the sea breeze comes in, it flicks left as the day goes on, but in Europe and the Northern Hemisphere it goes right, which can be a little bit confusing the first time you kind of see it happen. The other thing to consider is when you're sailing in a bay, don't treat it like the sea breeze is coming from the shore that you're on. Make sure you've seen it from a map to work out where is the biggest shoreline. So sometimes in our little bay, the breeze is different outside of Moreton Island than it is inside, even. Or if you've sailed in Melbourne, it can be quite funky down there too. But yeah, this is just a fun little thing to prepare yourself for. These are some examples of regatta reports. So this is Juvenov again. And yeah, it can tell you quite a lot even from the heading. What it might be like during that time. So it'll be interesting to find some of where you're going to. And you said it well before, Monty. So this is the links to this is QR codes. I've tried really hard to make it visually but this is where you're going. So this is all the content from Kiel and all the video content from Aarhus. And if you use it, make sure you try and listen to the Kiel one. It's all in German, so you won't get much out of that. But I was going to say, try and listen to the commentary, unless you speak German. I don't. Oh, okay. But yeah, where in Aarhus they talk about the day, which is really, really helpful. In Kiel, you'll obviously see what the different race courses look like. Often, they will only live stream the inner course. So that doesn't really help. Kiel, there's about 5 different course areas, and the one closest to land is the one that gets live streamed. But you can still see it on different days too. Aarhus, I can't remember what is the course area that gets live streamed, but it's, again, one of the closer ones to shore. So we went to another collection of letters. This place is in Portugal, Viana, and we did the under 21 Worlds there in 2024. And we had done a fair bit of research about it. We knew that it was a really windy place and that the sea breezes were really, really prevalent. And we were trying to work out what would not cause the sea breeze to come in. So we were confident on a sea breeze day, but we wanted to kind of get a handle of what else might be happening. So this was just some of the notes that we were had pieced together before we went over there. And we had worked out what the Goldilocks zone was for when the sea breeze was going to come in, what could kill it, and then any kind of other points of interest. This was just kind of specific to to where we were, but yeah, we thought we felt pretty prepared. Yes, Scott?
How did you figure out what the Goldilocks zone was? Is that a research piece or is that something that you can just work out?
It was a bit of research piece, and I was fortunate to have a friend who is a meteorologist that helped with a little bit of it, but we just based it around old data from the sea breeze came in, what did it look like in the morning? And it's not hugely different to a sea breeze here either. What's nice in most places in Europe is that the water is so cold relative to the land that the sea breezes are more consistent than they are here. So that can make it a little bit more guaranteed. And we had kind of worked out that there's a mountain, the coastal topography would impact the sea breeze. So we had a bit of an idea. We're kind of guessing. Before we went, so this was kind of where the club was, we were kind of racing out here, and there was this massive mountain right next to it. So we kind of saw that on Google Maps, we're like, yeah, there's a hill, cool, but it's sea breeze. So we're like, it's going to be windy and wavy. When we got there, so this is kind of what the mountain looked like in reality, noting too just how cold it was on the water. So this is Portugal in July, and it was really cold on the water, but really hot on land. And what we were finding, actually, Kat, you were there as well. Yeah. Kat was there the week earlier, so I reckon she had even different conditions to us. But we got 5 out of the 6 days were these blowing 15 to 20 knot sea breezes. But on some of the days, if it got really, really hot on land, the hot air would rise, and then there would actually be wind that would rush down the mountain, which we hadn't planned for. We didn't really understand why it was happening, but you would get these really, really big righties as a result. And we kind of hadn't worked that out from all of our research. What was it like when you were there?
We only got one day that was over 16 knots.
Yeah, there you go.
And we did 3 days that were probably under 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was no wind.
Yeah. Super different.
Yeah.
And you had lots of fog, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. We
Yeah.
Yeah, we had one day was cancelled because they couldn't like send us, and we were like 1K visibility or something.
Yeah. And I mean, based off what we, like, again, what we'd kind of guessed, like they didn't get the land temperature high enough, and so the sea breeze didn't come in. But we were just quite lucky with kind of how it happened. So you can do all this research and then it doesn't always pan out. Like the best information gathering that you can do is your eyes once you're there, and just trying to work out what the patterns are and what you can see. One thing that's really handy to work out is what is the sea breeze direction going to be? Especially in these places that are a bit more land heavy, what actually is that direction going to be? So what is perpendicular to where I am, to the shoreline? That's going to be where it starts. All right, as you get a bit older, you're going to start continuously going away, and you're going to have to start considering accommodation and booking accommodation. This was me in Porto. The city underwent an Airbnb crisis, and they, like, the subleasing had a problem. So everyone's Airbnbs got cancelled the week before we got there. So I had to sleep on the back of, Mara was renting a boat, and I had to sleep on the back of her boat for a week. But I had a great time. I've got a book there I was reading. That's nice. But yeah, something I've learnt travelling is to work out what is important to you. So I valued proximity to the venue more than comfort. That's not for everyone. Some people want to have and feel confident in the accommodation and its comfort level rather than being able to walk out from the club. So I slept like this for a week, but we were staying at the regatta venue, which was pretty cool. Consider who you're going with as well. Am I going with my parents? Do I want to share a bed with my mum the whole week? Do I want my own bed? Like, there's a few different things to try and vocalise as you get older. Yeah, and what your priorities are. A lot of places, hotels don't have kitchens. That can be kind of important. Do I have Wi-Fi? Most now, it's like much easier now to get an eSIM before you travel, which makes that handy. Always have some ability to connect to internet or Wi-Fi, because the online or the notice boards are online. So if you don't have Wi-Fi, you're going to miss protests and important updates and things like that. The air conditioning and the heating, again, is really important in colder places. Yeah, definitely get the heating. A washing machine is a nice thing to look up to make sure where you're staying has a washing machine. But yeah, you're just trying to work out what is important. Can I afford to hire a car? That's going to kind of limit the places that you can stay as well. Yeah, hotels, cabins, homestays. A few people will often contact the club and ask if there's members that they can stay with. That's a really good way to do it and save some money. And yeah, the proximity to shops. Those of you, Wilbur and Kat and James, went to LA last year for Long Beach. There was no shop nearby, was there? Yeah, it was kind of annoying.
Well, there kind of was. But
and Ruby, sorry.
Like, there just wasn't any, like, they were kind of, you had to go into, like, sketchier places, and they
Yeah.
weren't good, like, shops.
Yeah.
Food have, like, they weren't, like, consistent food shops. They were kind of, like,
Yeah.
stops, you know?
Yeah, it was pretty hard to survive there without a car, wasn't it? Yeah. But yeah, as you travel, you're going to kind of work out what is important to you and what isn't. This was, again, this same place in Portugal was fantastic because we were staying at the marina, but we had a 2K walk nearly to get to the grocery store. So it kind of limited our options. Didn't have bikes, it was uphill as well. But again, it meant we could stay really, really close. Get some daily exercise. Actually, something worth noting too is when you go overseas, different countries have different kind of cultures, and some places they're shut on Sundays, or they're shut in the middle of the day and that kind of stuff. So try and look up what the opening hours are before you get there. If you arrive to somewhere on a Sunday, good luck. Nothing will be open. All right, so after we've done all the research, we're trying to piece together what we can kind of do with it all. Because ultimately we want to try and train in similar conditions to where we're going and then prepare ourselves a little bit better. So yeah, just a few little tidbits is when you go into these cold places, bring 2 wet weather jackets. Because then you can wear one on the water in between races and then you come in, you've got another dry jacket. So that's kind of a nice big win. Yeah, think about a bike and a scooter. Cheap service. Wow, look at this.
How can you not tell me that, Patricia?
Yeah, look at a bike and a scooter to get around.
Thanks, Dad.
You can get cheap bikes and scooters in lots of different places too. Wear a helmet. You don't have to wear a helmet in Europe, but you're going to wear a helmet. Wear a helmet. Pocket warmers for cold. This is a really fun little. You can get them from the chemist, and then you can crack them and put them in the pocket of your wet weather jacket, and you can keep your hands really warm. Yeah. You can get like ones that you can stick onto your back and your chest and keep you really warm. Try and bring an extra pair of thermals or something to like whatever your underlayer is that you wear under your wetsuit. Just so you've got a dry set to alternate. You're not necessarily going to be able to dry things overnight if the air gets really cold. Yeah, and a couple of extra things. Google Translate is helpful. Download the Google Maps before you leave your accommodation, so then you can gather the information. But I think most of you guys kind of have now service on your phones, don't you? Yeah. Yes, Scott.
Something to add to that, because I almost got very lost in Palma when my phone went flat.
Yeah, true.
Take a portable charger.
That's a really good one. There's a few rules now on the planes, though. You have to carry them with you, but you can't use them on the planes anymore. Bring laundry wash, like little sachets so you can clean your clothes in the sink. I'm telling you, it's handy. And work out a couple things to do in the area. You're going often with your mum and dad too, so it's a good way to keep them busy so they don't annoy you at the sailing club the whole day. If you're going to Kiel, there you can go strawberry picking, that's really fun. Aarhus, you can go visit the deer. Anything to do in London? I've never been to London. No. I'm going in September, you can tell me.
Oh, yeah, we're like 3 hours away from London.
Yeah, I've never been. Yeah, there you go. Anyways, but do bring laundry wash detergent. Okay, we're gonna get our phones out and do a bit of work. Hope everyone's ready. So we're gonna try and work out some of this information of the places that we're going. So you can pick somewhere different if you really want to, but I thought we'd stick to the Ilka and the 29er worlds for most of you. See if you can work out, you can pick one, probably where you're going. What is the prevailing wind direction during that time of year? Where will the course be located for where you're going? And then what could influence the course area in that breeze direction? Because you're all going to quite landlocked areas. Not landlocked, but land influenced.
I think the boars, we're only like 100, the notice of race said we're only 100 metres off the pier.
Yeah, there you go.
And that will be like, if it's offshore, it'll be really flat and really shifty, like the south.
Yeah, yeah. Well then, yeah, so work out the prevailing direction and then try and work out what is the common different direction. So like here, for example, in the summer we get southerly storms that come in. So that's like kind of our common alternate direction. It's just good to know what else could happen. And then if we're thinking about what the direction is, what the land is, what could be important during the race. Remember, this is all kind of guesswork and it might not happen. But pick a place. Maybe you could even do here, if you wanted to pick one for here. Yeah, for sure. So have a go. Like maybe doing RQ. Queensland Youth Week's coming up. What would be the prevailing direction for Queensland Youth Week? Okay. We'll regroup and share all of our juicy data. Who did Queensland Youth Week? Scott. This is your moment to shine, man.
My moment.
Yeah.
Copy that. I use JG.
Yeah, so I am going to expose myself. I hadn't considered this as an option, but ChatGPT, pretty helpful.
Yep.
So.
In general, I think is an easy way to research quickly, not necessarily accurately. So
Yeah.
with a grain of salt. But so far, this looks reasonable based on our experiences. And I'll read you what I asked it. So I asked, what are the general prevailing wind conditions in Waterloo Bay, Manly, Queensland during July, in brackets daytime? Generate a windrose and a brief report. Basically, I'll read you the short version. Yeah, generate a windrose for me, which is kind of cool.
What's the prevailing conditions?
32% of the time, it reckons this is an approximated frequency from the west. Typical strength 10 to 18 knots. Another 24% is southwesterly, 8
Yeah.
to 16 knots. And from the northwest, 18%. So generally quite strong in the west direction, whether it comes from a bit cross shore as well.
I need a stick, Alana. I don't have a printer.
And then
I'll improvise.
12% of the time from the southeast, 6 to 12 knots. So we do
Yeah.
occasionally get those light southeasters come through, and then a combined 14% east/northeast.
So
4 to 10 knots.
prevailing, what was the prevailing conditions?
Generally west,
Okay.
and could swing either way.
Yeah.
It's come up with sort of a dominant wind patterns as well.
Yeah, so the other question, Scott, don't get too distracted here.
Yep.
Where will the course be located and what could influence the course area?
It depends which course you're on, but we know
You're
that
an Opti
RQ
sailor.
likes to run...
You're an Opti sailor.
Opti sailor. You're generally going to be in front of the windsurfing beach.
Yeah, so about here.
So come out of the harbour, turn right.
Oh, sorry, here.
Some land features to think about there are Loda Creek. So tide can quite strongly affect that course through Loda Creek. The wind can also funnel. If it's southwesterly, you might get a bit more of a southerly funnel coming out the creek. So
why does it funnel from the creek? What do you know about here?
it's quite flat there.
Yeah. So there's hills behind Manly. There's a little bit of hill action at Thornside, and then it will often try and funnel this way or around the marina as well. But you might not be able to access the stuff around the marina if you're over here. Did anyone else find anything about RQ that they want to share?
The tide maps that the sailing office have.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Yeah. Is there another kind of day that we get in winter? Sometimes?
Glass out.
Yeah, we get a glass out. Definitely.
Sometimes in northerly, no?
Yeah. So we can get a really local thermal sea breeze. So because the water's so cold, if we get hot enough days, we get a really, really, really local sea breeze that's sometimes only really close to shore even. So I'd say that's kind of the opposite direction. And like in terms of like how would we identify that, we'd be like looking for those hot days that we get in winter. They're sometimes a good sign.
And the tide times.
Yeah, the tide times. If there's more land, it's got more to heat.
Yeah.
Versus-
Tide in the morning, but coming in as the day heats up.
Yeah.
Really seems to help.
Yeah, definitely. So if we're racing in your Opti, Scott, at Queensland Youth Week, what do you think could end up being important?
Would be expecting offshore, so shifty, gusty, head outside the boat kind of day. Would be seeing if any forecasts agree. We know winter can be quite unpredictable, so if there is a rare day where a lot of forecasts agree, looking for opportunities to make the most of when you can sort of predict it. And given it's going to be light, sailing a slow boat, I'd be having a good look at the tide, knowing that is generally going to have a quite big effect if we're sailing close to shore near the the creeks. In
Yeah.
slow boats, tide's generally going to be a problem. So
Maybe you're trying to work out, is there any reason why the westerly won't stay in? Is probably another way to think about it.
heat.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's what you're looking for when you're preparing. Should we do Kiel? For those of you that aren't going to Kiel this year, one day you'll go there. So remember this. What do you got?
There are 3 course areas. The
Hold that next to you, just so then they can hear you. When
There's one here.
yeah. There's 3 course areas, and they build off from like where you pointed.
There's
Nah.
like one just out in front of the point, and then 2 are like kind of inside the point. So if you're in the first closer to you, you could be more more protected. So yeah, depending on the breezes, and if you're on the far one, you're a bit out, could be less protected, more chop, more swell, more tide.
Yep, perfect.
Um,
Prevailing direction.
Prevailing direction, one of the things that 40% from the west.
Yeah.
That was like, I'd say 24-hour and average across the whole month, so I don't know how
So-
accurate that is.
So the west is this way.
Yeah. And then 20% from east,
Yeah,
and like an average speed of 9 knots
yeah.
across the
So
month.
a hilarious thing that happens in Kiel is you will often get either a westerly or an easterly, which is quite confusing. But yeah, the westerly is offshore, very offshore, and if you're not close to shore, it can be really, really light. That can happen too. What else? What else did you find?
There's no massive hills. Looking at the topography, it's not like
It's pretty flat.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's not like big changes sort of thing close to the course areas.
Yeah. There's a few little hills. Ooh. Kind of here, you'll see them, but that's it. Yeah. And there's a lighthouse on the end. Is that where you're getting the readings from?
I don't know where it's from.
That's what lectum bulk means. That could be wrong. What could be important?
If it's a westerly, like coming off the land, eyes out of the boat, looking for the puffs,
Yeah.
trying to stay with the breeze. If you're on the far out course, then really hunting down pressure.
Yeah.
If it's going to be like windier onshore and lighter
Yeah.
further out.
And because you get the prevailing westerly for a lot of it, you're looking for a day that would have the easterly.
Yeah.
Like you're looking for how, like when a sea breeze could develop if it gets warm enough.
We, our coach, Harry, he was talking about like high pressure systems above Sweden.
Yeah.
And if there's one above there, then you should get like your nice easterly.
Yeah.
coming in
Yeah.
to look for that.
Exactly. That's the same for Denmark as well. You're kind of looking for those high pressure systems. I think we get like a high over the Tasman in Australia. So if we get a high over the Tasman, we get really stable conditions. But if that's not there or it's not as big, that's when we get the kind of southerly systems and stuff that can come in. Aarhus. What was the prevailing conditions? You can fight over the microphone.
Well, I saw that the lighthouse, it says its readings are from,
This one?
no, the one that's next, like
At
just
the-
about where we launched. There's
in the
actually
marina?
a lighthouse
Yeah.
there near the hotels. It says 8.7 knots to 12.2 knots is the average.
Yeah.
And it's constantly basically from a westerly or southwesterly condition is their main sort of thing.
So that's
Yeah.
this way or this way.
Oh, that's like down that way.
What's coming up though?
Yeah, that's what the direction's southwest, so it's coming up like this.
Yeah, that way. That way.
Yeah.
So north is coming down the board. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, very similar to Mont. I just checked the average wind directions, the west to southwest. So I mean, it'll be quite shifty. It'll be an offshore breeze. So I've got some of the graphs that you had up. It pretty much, there's little change in the weather over that month.
Pretty stable.
Pardon?
Pretty stable.
Yeah. The clouds, it's mostly cloudy, so it's mostly cloudy.
Wow, you're really
it said,
selling it.
47% of the time it was mostly cloudy.
Don't tell your mum that.
No, I won't. She's looking forward to it though. So they could potentially have an impact. It'll be interesting to see how low those are. Of the thing, because that's really good. Topography map said behind Aarhus there's some hills and mountains that are 100 meters high-ish.
Yeah, that's pretty high.
So that potentially could have an impact on the wind.
Yeah.
I'd need to do more research into that. And the tide, there's little tide, but maybe you'd get a little bit more tide on that outer bank of the course. So if you got a southerly, the left would have a little bit more tide because the tide would run on the outside.
Yeah.
But it's 0.2 meters change. So I don't think tide will be much of an impact.
Where's your course going to be?
The course they haven't published, but it was on the notice of the race.
Yeah.
But now it's no longer on the road.
Yeah, Monty. What did Monty find?
If you look on the 2018 Aarhus Worlds for Ilka 7, there's 4 main courses that we would be around.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's probably Stadium or Alpha will be around. So Stadium is like about 50 to 100 meters off the. I'll point at it later.
It's all right.
And then Alpha is about further offshore, but it's still in that like northeast direction, so kind of like up that way.
Yeah.
And then there also is Bravo, which is further than that, but then Echo, which is actually, I think, below all those 3 kind of sticking out parts, which they may said we might go around there if there's wind.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Remember, even though they say in the notice of race you'll be 100 metres from shore, they're going to have to likely put multiple courses in. So that could change some things up as well. Yes.
Would the girls and the boys be on separate courses?
I've got no idea. Don't ask me. But wait to see. Often they'll put the boys together, the girls together.
Yeah.
But sometimes they might change it for Gold Fleet. What about... Do you get a sea breeze? Why don't you give it to someone else?
Yeah, you got like a southeasterly sea breeze.
Yeah.
It's not crazy common.
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sea breeze doesn't get very windy either.
And which way would it move through the day?
Right.
This way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't get very windy, not much waves, similar chop to here.
Yeah. You'll get more chop from which direction?
Well,
yeah.
Well, yeah, no, that's the most
you'll
get, really, but even then, you never really get much swell, it still stays a bit choppy.
Still a bay.
Yeah, it's still a bay.
Yeah. What about anything else? Someone said they were looking up the water temp.
Oh, yeah, I actually got that here. Hold up. Oh, yeah. There we go. The average water temp in August, which is when the Ilka 6 Worlds would be, is around 18.4 degrees Celsius, so it's similar to like Port Phillip Bay, Melbourne.
Yeah, warm.
Usually around Melbourne time.
Rashies.
Yeah, average air temp, max of, well, actually doesn't say the average, it just says max and min, 26 and 7.
Oh.
So, that's great. Can't wait. Bring a super one.
And then how much daylight hours were there? Someone was going to look that up.
Yeah. Sunrise is at 5:20, sunsets at 9:30.
Yeah. So pretty big range. So you could, that's a very good point someone made before. You could have really long days in both of these places.
Cool.
What could be important in the prevailing? So do we agree the prevailing conditions are for Aarhus? Yeah. So what's going to be important?
Being on the lifting tack and
Head out a boat. Yeah.
looking for that pressure in the lift.
Yeah.
Probably centering yourself at the course too. And particularly on the start line, so that you got the best opportunity of making the most out of both shifts, or all the shifts on the course. So, yeah.
So you're both different venues are racing likely an offshore wind, from the sounds of it. Yeah, offshore. And where else are you racing in offshore wind?
Out here, at the moment.
No. Queensland Youth Week. The first place we did.
Weymouth.
Youth Week.
Yeah, but also in Brisbane in July.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
River.
Is that
Okay, yep. Anyone else find anything interesting about where they were going? Any questions of what they found?
Any of the girls? We made eye contact.
Spend a bit of time the next few weeks watching the videos that you can find for the venues, because they're really helpful, and you're really lucky that there's so much video. And maybe it's about sail setup, or maybe it's about what the commentators are saying about the day, or maybe it's the regatta reports. And be brave and message someone that's been to one of these places before, because they're likely gonna give you something.
And they'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah, they'll definitely get a kick out of it, for sure. The good sailors all know how to race very well. The champions have won the regatta before the racing begins. So there's a lot of homework we can do before we get to the venue. Thanks, girls. But keeping in mind all the research we do, we still have to rely on our eyes and what we see, because that can be pretty helpful too. Any questions? No? Charlie, any questions?
Just admiring that last name.
I've got more of them ready. Not now, but I've got more quotes. Lovely. Thank you, Alana, as well, for kicking us off.
Thanks, Tony. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.